Hello, I'm Doug Ortiz here, and I'm here with Sarah Conway. And I'm performing an interview of Sarah regarding the State of Postgres survey. And actually, the complete wording, because I keep on messing it up, is Timescale State of PostgreSQL survey. So that said, we have top three questions that would be of interest. And the first one that I'd like to mention or ask Sarah is, what is one change that you would want to see the most in the community to make contributing easier?
I'd love to see the systems that are being used to power Postgres's documentation, the website, um, and anywhere where people can actually contribute, right? Like whether it's using GitHub or having more established processes, that needs to be more well defined. It needs to be properly documented. The actual systems underneath it need to be upgraded and made more modern, a little bit more accessible. Um, a lot of that's obviously very touchy-feely within the community because it's been around for a long time. It works, right? Everyone that's actually reading heavily to the Postgres infrastructure and project is very comfortable with the way that it is, which I understand. But the problem is we have a large number of people that are, that's growing, that who are interested in actually contributing back to the project in some way, but they're stopped. So you still have a very limited group of people that are contributing to the project that are not incredibly diverse, and we're stopping others from actually being able to contribute back to the project because there's basically gatekeeping going on, right? It's a very specialized bit of knowledge you have. It's a very complex environment, and there's not a whole lot of documentation or established processes around how to actually contribute besides going in to like the mailing list or talking to people extensively about, how do I do this? And then being watched through the process from start to finish, and being coached throughout it, right? And going through troubleshooting and making sure it's all set up correctly. And then finally, 2 months later, you finally have an environment that's ready for you to actually do what you were there in the first place to do. Whereas other projects make it very, very quick and easy to contribute. You can do it within minutes. Right? There's a lot we can do there to improve all of that to make it a lot more
Wow,
streamlined.
that's a great answer. And I'll move on to the next question in this case. How would you rate your ability to connect with the community?
It really
Oh,
depends. So from my from my perspective, I've been around for, 12 plus years. So I have the massive benefit of already having been connected with a lot of core Postgres contributors and committers and just people who have been involved in the project for a long time, right? That's a huge advantage on my part because I have them connected on LinkedIn, on Mastodon. I can follow them and, I know who to follow to get, news and content and, blog posts, videos, whatever. That's for me, that's because I already had it into the community. For others, it's really easy to see that it's not quite so easy, right? There's very specific legacy I would consider ways of connecting to the community through mailing lists, right? Or IRC. Um, and there's a Slack channel that you have to, that's like invite only. That's really hard to figure out. Like, how do you actually even join the thing? And then there's others channels where people are actively talking about Postgres, just like as a casual topic of conversation or asking for help on like Telegram, but those aren't actually documented anywhere on the Postgres website. So not only is it difficult to figure out as an outsider, who's important to follow, who actually knows what they're talking about, and who's producing quality content, but it's also difficult to figure out, well, where's a modern way of connecting with the community where it's going to be easy for me to ask questions quickly instead of having to, try and figure out how mailing lists work or try and figure out how do I actually connect to this Postgres Slack, and is anyone on it who's actually gonna be able to help me with my problems? So, as a rating for others, I would say it's probably 4 out
oh
of
wow.
10.
There's room for improvement. That's for sure. But that's true. All right, thanks. And I'm gonna move on to the last question. What are the top excuse me. What are the top challenges you face when using PostgreSQL?
Largely the documentation. It's incredibly technical, it's very dense, and it's written for those that have been developing with SQL for a long time, right? It was written by incredibly intelligent people. It's a great reference. I'm not disparaging it in any way, but it is a technical manual. It should be used as reference if you already know what it is you're doing. If you don't, it's not a great place to get started. You have to go find external resources that are gonna walk you through, okay, like, this is how you install Postgres on Red Hat, right? On CentOS, on Mac, on whatever, because the instructions for each of those is wildly different. It's not completely documented within the Postgres documentation itself. And from there, it's really difficult to understand things like, where's my data directory? How do I get started? How do I actually connect with Postgres and get started using it? And why should I use pSQL over pgadmin, over pgmanage, over Popsicle? It's a very wide, Postgres is so flexible and extensible that there's a wide number of applications and a wide number of ways to get started using it. And it's not really streamlined at all to figure out where you would go or why you should choose any one thing versus the other. That could really stand to use some
Wow.
improvement.
All great answers. And thank you for being part of the timescale state of the PostgreSQL survey. Yeah, 2024, that is. That's for this year. Guess we'll see you in the next one next year. Bye.
Yeah, sounds